Right now on Morning News Now, early voting begins in 4 more states today, including battleground Wisconsin, where Vice President Harris is trying to hold the blue wall, while former President Trump is focused on North Carolina, a state he's won twice, but that has been slipping from his grasp in recent polls. We have team coverage from the campaign trail with just 2 weeks to go until Election Day. Also this morning, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrives in Israel to renew the push for diplomacy in the region, while all sides are examining an Egyptian ceasefire proposal with the hopes to be the starting point for a much bigger deal. Plus, new legal trouble for Donald Trump. The exonerated Central Park Five say they're now suing the former president for false claims he made about them during last month's debate. We're digging into the details of the lawsuit. And countdown to tip-off. The NBA returns tonight to kick off the new season. From championship favorites to up-and-coming rookies, we are breaking down everything you need to know, but we are still very excited for the New York Liberty and the WNBA. Good morning. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe's on assignment today, so it's just us with exactly 2 weeks to go until Election Day. The race for the White House is now entering the home stretch. Both Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump have been courting undecided voters in those key battleground states that could likely decide who wins the election. Yesterday, Harris visited Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin in an effort to shore up the Midwestern blue wall. Alongside her was former Republican lawmaker Liz Cheney. Her inclusion, it raised some eyebrows among some Democrats who disagree with the conservative ex-congresswoman on foreign policy and on abortion issues. Well, as for Mr. Trump, he spent the day in North Carolina where he surveyed the damage of Hurricane Helene before attending an evangelical Christian event in Concord. Both candidates laid out the stark choice in the upcoming election.
This election is a choice between whether we will have think of this, 4 more years. Could you stand it? 4 more years of incompetence and stupidity and failure and disaster, or whether we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. I think we have a real chance.
Anyone who has openly said, as he has, that he would terminate the Constitution of the United States should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. Never again.
Here to talk about all this is NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez and NBC News correspondent Hillard. Good morning, both of you. Gabe, I will start with you and start on the vice president. So as we mentioned, Harris toured the 3 big Midwestern states yesterday. She was with Liz Cheney, as you saw there to her right in that video. Why is the Harris campaign convinced that Cheney could help win over undecided Republican voters in those crucial swing states?
Well, hi there, Savannah. Good morning. Well, as you said, the Harris campaign really believes that there are enough disenchanted Republicans that can make the difference in this election, especially in those key swing states, that so-called blue wall that is so critical for Harris to pick up. Now, she has been focusing on certain issues. For example, as you said, reproductive rights, but also focusing on some of those issues, the Constitution, appealing to these disenchanted Republicans' sense of patriotism. And you heard Liz Cheney yesterday make an urgent plea to some of these Republicans that they can vote however they want in the ballot box, but they don't have to tell their friends about it. And that is what the Harris campaign is banking on, that there are so many Republicans exhausted in their view by Donald Trump that they may be able to switch, at least for this election, and put her over the top, Savannah.
So, Gabe, on the flip side, is there a risk the inclusion of Cheney could alienate some Democratic supporters? Like I mentioned, there's some of these key issues like abortion rights, for example, where she disagrees than many of those traditional Democratic voters. How does the Harris campaign reconcile that?
Well, Savannah, there's always that risk, of course, but the Harris campaign and previously the Biden campaign before it felt that the Democratic base will ultimately come home to the Democratic Party. Once they see the alternative that Donald Trump offers, they feel that even that progressive base will ultimately make the choice for Kamala Harris. Of course, it is quite a split screen, if you will, or quite a match. Liz Cheney, certainly a diehard Republican that many in the progressive left would never have imagined campaigning with Kamala Harris. But the Harris campaign has made the calculation that by using her at this point in the race, when undecided voters may be tuning in, they feel that by using her, bringing over those undecided Republicans, and they will eventually keep that Democratic base, which they're also reaching out to in these closing days of the campaign as well, as she does more media appearances and hits those swing states at a much more accelerated pace, Savannah.
Absolutely. Vaughn, let's bring you in here and talk about the former president. We saw Trump close out his trip to North Carolina, specifically with this appeal to faith leaders at that evangelical Christian event. What was his message there to those leaders and to voters?
Right, Savannah, I'm on the campaign trail with him right now, and that event last night outside of Charlotte was with the likes of former Secretary Ben Carson, but as well as Franklin Graham, Paula White. This for Donald Trump is a matter not so much about building a coalition, but making sure that the evangelical Christian vote comes out and actually pulls the lever and fills out a ballot for him, much to what Gabe is talking about here. This is a matter of turnout here in the final 2 weeks and making sure, like in North Carolina, for example, early voting is already underway, and Donald Trump going and making the case that, of course, making misstatements that are not true, that Kamala Harris is anti-Christian, yet this is his way of galvanizing support. He also mentioned surviving the assassination attempt in Butler, suggesting that he has been persecuted along the way and that last night, he said that it's been the hand of God that has led him through life here. Of course, this is an evolution for Donald Trump through the religious faith community. In 2015, 2016, courted the evangelical vote, vowed to overturn Roe v. Wade on the Supreme Court in his White House. He did just that, and now he's asking for those very evangelical voters to come back out for him again here in 2024 and give him the opportunity to have a second White House administration.
Vaughn, we also saw Mr. Trump survey the damage left behind from Hurricane Helene. Is he still refusing specifically to back down from his false claims about FEMA's response? Remind us what those claims were and what we heard from him yesterday on that.
Exactly. Donald Trump suggested in the initial aftermath of the storm that the Biden-Harris administration and FEMA, they were not as focused on, quote, Republican areas in their disaster relief efforts, which, of course, there is no specific evidence of. He also suggested that FEMA was diverting money to house undocumented immigrants in the country. This is a different pool of money that has historically been used for that purposes, not for storm relief. But then yesterday, Donald Trump was specifically asked whether he would urge folks to, essentially all but walk away from their criticisms of FEMA after there was one man in North Carolina who was arrested on suspicion for threats to a FEMA worker. He was a part of a militia. And this is where we saw many in North Carolina not believing and not trusting FEMA workers. And there was actually a 48-day halt of FEMA workers going door to door through the area. This is a storm that killed nearly 100 people. And Donald Trump, when he was asked about that yesterday, he said that he, did not disavowing the threats made against FEMA workers. He said that he believes that FEMA should be criticized when it is appropriate and when they're not doing their job. And he said he would praise them when he felt that they were doing their job. His message yesterday in North Carolina, just outside of Asheville, when he was touring that storm damage there, was that come January 20th, with a Republican administration, the appropriate help will be on the way to these residents of North Carolina, Savannah.
All right, Vaughn and Gabe, thank you both very much for kicking us off this hour. Well, let's stay with the election. Early voting is now underway in Arizona. Phoenix, that's in Maricopa County, and that is the nation's most populated swing district. There, the focus for many senior voters is balancing the impacts of climate change and the high cost of living. NBC News political and national correspondent Jacob Soboroff partnered with our affiliate there, KPNX, to learn more.
This year, Phoenix set a record, 113 consecutive days of temperatures over 100 degrees.
And so this is the new unit.
Temperatures you can't ignore doing rooftop air conditioning installation.
How much per install something like this cost?
The whole weatherization can cost anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000.
$15,000 to $25,000.
Correct.
And these guys are all getting it for free.
Exactly.
These contractors are working for the Foundation for Senior Living, which provides free weatherization services to low-income seniors.
We've got people who would never be able to pay for any of this.
And in a county like Maricopa, there it goes, just turned on again.
Yep.
To not have it, what does that mean?
Probably death.
There were 645 heat-related deaths in Maricopa County in 2023 alone, a clear and present danger to Ruth Hernandez, the retired cashier who lives in this house.
Why is what they're doing so important, so helpful for you?
Well, I just retired, and I know I never would have been able to have this done if it wasn't for FSL.
At the end of the month, forgive me for asking such a personal question, how much money you got left in your bank account?
$30.
30, $30.
After I pay my bills, this is going to help a lot.
What do you want Vice President Harris and former President Trump to know about what life is like for people like you?
There's a lot of people that are in need of help. You know, I thought maybe my Social Security would be a little bit more, but it's not.
Does either Vice President Harris or former President Trump connect with you more when they talk about what Americans go through?
Well, right now it's Harris.
Maricopa County doesn't have a dominant political party, but its residents all experience the same heat and increasing costs of housing and living.
This is a mobile home community, and right now it's 102 degrees. It's not even noon yet. And what we're told about this place is that a lot of the residents don't have great AC, if their AC works at all. Michael Jacob, nice to meet you.
You too.
Michael Leonard also signed up for free weatherization services from FSL.
They're replacing a water heater. This is the old one.
This is your old water
It's
heater.
only 5 years old.
Recently, Michael got a free air conditioner, too.
So this is a brand new air conditioning unit over here?
Oh, brand new. If you look at the typical ones for our neighbors, that's what the norm is.
Michael invited us inside his house.
What a difference you're going to feel.
Gonna feel the AC, huh?
Oh.
This is nice. Well, let me ask you, do you think that, I mean, clearly there's your Trump hat up there. Do you think that he can help people like you?
I think it can help the entire economy.
We met another person who's getting these free services, and she's a Vice President Harris supporter, and you're a Trump supporter. And despite the fact that you're going through sort of a similar thing, you know, you're divided
What's the commonality?
Well, it's the
hardship.
Yeah.
Right, hardship. Regardless of what side of the spectrum you're on, it's hardship.
And so why do you think we can't see more eye to eye on the politics?
Really good question. Everybody's got to come together. We got to pull together as a country. We got to.
High temperatures on the thermometer and in politics, in a place both could decide the presidency. Jacob Soboroff, NBC News, Phoenix.
Great reporting there, Jacob. Well, just 2 weeks, as we'll keep reminding you, until Election Day. One foreign policy issue Democrats and Republicans can agree on is the potential threat China poses really in everything, whether it's technology, tariffs, trade, all the way to EVs and fentanyl. China is repeatedly cited as the biggest strategic challenge to the U.S., and no matter who wins in November, they will be tasked with managing those threats. An NBC News analysis of recent speeches and rallies shows that Vice President Harris and former President Trump are both ramping up their focus on China in the final stretch of this campaign. We have NBC News international correspondent Janice Mackey-Fair joining us from Beijing with more on this. Janice, good morning. So when the candidates talk about how they propose to deal with the challenges presented by China, what are they saying, and does it seem that one would be tougher than the other?
Savannah, how Kamala Harris deals with China is likely to look a lot like the current administration's policy of stressing competition, avoiding confrontation, wanting to have communication so that there won't be conflict. Harris has actually talked very little about specific China policy in recent weeks. She talks mainly about China to criticize Donald Trump, saying that he sold out to China during his first presidency and at the expense of American jobs, especially in auto manufacturing. Whereas for Donald Trump, it's all about tariffs, about slapping bigger tariffs on existing tariffs and framing it as a way to be tough on China. Though most economists are saying it's U.S. consumers that will end up paying. More recently, he said that if he returns to the White House, China would not dare mess with him, especially China's President Xi Jinping, because he knows he is, quote, crazy. Savannah.
You're mentioning this, but let's talk more about the preference China could have for one candidate over the other. How would either victory play out here for this very tense relationship between the U.S. and China? Is there that big of a difference?
Well, for China, there's actually very little difference between the two candidates when it comes to policies that shape and affect U.S.-China relations. Beijing is never going to admit to having a favorite candidate because they don't want to be accused of interfering in the election. But the leadership here is seen as preferring the incumbent party to ensure what they call policy continuity. I spoke about that with Jia Qingguo. He's a professor at Peking University and a political advisor to China's government. Here's what he said about China's preference.
Chinese government does not want to interfere or be accused of interfering in American domestic politics. If you look at the challenges and benefits and interests, then clearly, to me, Harris poses a less challenge and threat.
Well, the leadership here, Trump is seen as volatile, and China wants stability. On the possibility of a second Trump presidency, Mr. Jia told me, quote, Americans cannot make the same mistake again. Savannah.
Janice, a lot of times when we talk about China, misinformation, disinformation is part of the conversation, whether that be any type of influence they could have here at home, like, for example, on an app like TikTok, but also the type of information that is being fed to people who live in China. How is the U.S. race playing out on Chinese social media?
Well, if you look at Chinese social media, you get a different view. It's Trump supporters that are mainly dominant because they seem to be less concerned with his policies than his political style. And they feel that because he's had this tendency toward alienating allies and tariffs, that this could all actually work in China's favor. There's actually a joke that his name translates loosely to Trump builds the nation being China, that a second Trump presidency would make China great again. And that's not to say that's the thinking of the political establishment here. They do prefer continuity, and that could come with the Harris administration, even if that continuity is not the direction that China would want to go. So it's not so much wanting the lesser of two evils than wanting the more predictable option. Another point that we should make on Chinese social media and the messaging is that a lot of it isn't the overt sort of pro-Beijing, pro-China messaging that you would expect on a presidential election campaign. The messaging does seem to be focusing on the down-ballot races where influencers feel they can have more of an impact on American voters.
Wow, that's quite interesting, especially because that's not always such a part of the conversation here in the U.S. that it would be even abroad. Janice, thank you very much. And as a programming note, later today, Vice President Kamala Harris will sit down with NBC News anchor and senior Washington correspondent Hallie Jackson in an exclusive interview. Tune into Nightly News at 6:30 p.m. Eastern tonight for that conversation. We'll also, of course, share it across NBC News today and tomorrow. While as VP Harris continues her battleground blitz this week, she's touting a new proposal from the White House. It would provide more than 50 million women who have private insurance with access to over-the-counter birth control pills and other contraceptives at no cost. If finalized, this rule would take effect next year and expand a federal mandate that already requires insurance to cover preventative care services at no cost. Right now, only one form of birth control pill is available over the counter, but this would force insurance companies to cover other things like the morning after pill, spermicides, condoms, and some IUDs. Now let's get a check on your morning news now weather. We've got meteorologist Michelle Grossman here with your Tuesday forecast. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Great to see you. And we are looking at a another summer-like morning today. Also tomorrow, really warm as well. We're looking at temperatures well above normal, 10, 20, even 30 degrees above average. The reason we have the jet stream lifted so far to the north, so we're looking at those above average highs. We're going to chase October records once again. And we're looking at temperatures into the 70s, the 80s, even into the 90s in some spots. So take a look at some of these numbers. Notice this warmth stretches all the way to parts of the Rockies. We're looking at at 80 degrees today in New York City. That's about 17 degrees above what is typical for this time of year. Into the 80s in Richmond, also in Lexington, Memphis. We're looking at 88 degrees in Oklahoma City, so near 90 degrees there. That is today. Then as we go throughout tomorrow, we're going to see that warmth spreading once again. We have temperatures soaring into the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Dallas tomorrow, 90 degrees. That's 14 degrees above average. 84 in Tulsa. 80s also in Little Rock, Nashville, Jackson, Anderson, Roanoke. You get the idea. It's warm for many of us tomorrow. And then it's sort of a reality check as we go throughout Thursday and Friday, back to more normal October temperatures. Buffalo, you'll be into the mid-50s by Saturday. Same story in Portland. New York City into the low 60s by Friday. And Chicago, you're going to be chilly too as well as we head towards the weekend. So as we look coast to coast, that's the big weather story today. The warmth in place. Otherwise, we are relatively dry coast to coast, with the exception of a cold front moving through the upper Midwest. Just some light showers there. Otherwise, nice and dry across the country, although we do need the rain. Satellite radar showing us where that rain is falling throughout portions of the northern plains, the upper Midwest, parts of the Midwest as well. Could see a few thunderstorms in the Midwest today, but that's going to be short-lived. Otherwise, it's that light rain moving through. It's due to a cold front, so showers from North Dakota, also Wisconsin. This makes its way across the east. Unfortunately, kind of loses a lot of the moisture with it, so we're not going to see a whole lot of showers tomorrow. We'll see some showers, some gusty storms in the northeast. Otherwise, we're going to be dry. We do need the rain. As we look at the rainfall forecast, not a lot, Savannah, here. We're looking at less than a quarter inch for most of us. I'll show you next hour our drought forecast because we are dry across the country. But again, the big story today is that warmth in place. Back to you.
All right, Michelle, thank you so much. Well, now let's head to the Middle East, where the U.S. is launching a new push for a diplomatic breakthrough in the war between Israel and Hamas. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Israel this morning as part of that effort. An Israeli official also told NBC News Israeli leaders are weighing a new Egyptian proposal for a short ceasefire. Let's bring in NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez. He is in Tel Aviv, and he joins us with the latest. Raf, good morning. So Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived this morning. Like I said, it's his 11th trip to the region since the October 7th attacks, obviously without ever having reached this elusive ceasefire deal. What is on his agenda this time?
Savannah, good morning. This is likely to be the last major American diplomatic push in the Middle East before the presidential election. That's likely to freeze everything in place for a while. As you said, Secretary Blinken has been here again and again and again in search of a ceasefire to end the war in Gaza, to bring those hostages home. He has never been able to get that deal over the line. I can tell you, U.S. officials do feel there may be a window of opportunity right now after Israel killed Yahya Sinwar, the hardline leader of Hamas, last week. But they are also acknowledging that with Sinwar dead, it is not clear who is in charge of Hamas. It's not clear if there is anybody on the other side of the table who can negotiate on Hamas's behalf at this point. So ceasefire in Gaza. Secretary Blinken also very concerned about the humanitarian situation there. You'll remember the U.S. has given Israel 30 days to start getting more aid into Gaza, or it is warns that it could cut off American military assistance to the Israel Defense Forces. The other big agenda item is what's going on in Lebanon, where Israel has been stepping up attacks against Hezbollah. Around a quarter of the entire population of Lebanon now has been displaced by the fighting, and major concern in the U.S. and across the region that this could escalate into a full-scale war between Israel and Iran. Savannah.
So, Ralph, let's talk a little bit about this Egyptian proposal. What are the details? Does it seem like it's being taken seriously? And what would Blinken's role be in getting that over the finish line?
So there is a new head of intelligence over in Egypt, and he just started in his post last week, and he has arrived with this new proposal. And the basic logic of it is, look, we've been trying for a year to get to a comprehensive ceasefire, a big agreement to end all the fighting, free all of the hostages. It hasn't worked. And so the idea here is to try to start small, build momentum, build trust that could get you to a wider agreement. So what the Egyptians are suggesting is, what about a 2-week pause pause in the fighting in Gaza in exchange for just 6 hostages. Now, remember, there's 101 hostages. Around a third of them are dead, but this would be just 6, so a very small number of the overall hostages. But the hope is that this could snowball into a bigger agreement, and Israeli officials says Israel is studying it. At this point, they haven't approved it, and it's not clear if Hamas would go for it. Savannah.
And Raf, all this hope, all these conversations are happening as a new round of attacks were launched overnight in Lebanon and Gaza. Give us the latest on that.
So we woke up here in Tel Aviv to rockets from Hezbollah, 7:45 in the morning, the sirens going off, and Israel striking repeatedly overnight inside of Lebanon. They say that they are targeting Hezbollah's sources of income. So they're targeting a financial institution, which they say effectively acts as Hezbollah's bank, but also really laying siege to the northern end of the Gaza Strip, the Jabalia refugee camp. Israel says that Hamas is regrouping there, but the United Nations is saying that this Israeli siege means food, medicine is not getting in, and that you have civilians being killed by Israeli fire as they try to get to safety. We asked the Israeli military about those claims of shelling. They say that there are safe routes out. Civilians on the ground are saying there's nowhere safe in northern Gaza right now.
All right. Raf Sanchez, thank you very much. Well, coming up, a new warning about election ads that are more than meets the eye. The effort to warn voters about the threat of deep fakes and artificial intelligence before they head to the polls. First, though, new legal trouble for former President Trump related to his false claims about the now exonerated Central Park 5. Stay with us. Welcome back. The now exonerated members of the group known as the Central Park 5 are suing Donald Trump for defamation after comments he made about them at a presidential debate last month. The complaint accuses the former president of making, quote, demonstrably false statements while on stage in Pennsylvania in September. Trump falsely claimed that the group of Black and Latino men, who were just teenagers at the time, had pleaded guilty when they were tried in connection with the brutal assault and rape of a woman who was running in Central Park back in 1989. He also said that the victim had died, all things that are not true.
They admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty.
Again, all that not true. A spokesperson for the Trump campaign is calling the lawsuit an attempt to distract the American people. We have NBC News legal analyst Danny Savallos here to help break this down for us. Danny, good morning. Always great to have you with us. So the Central Park 5, they spent years behind bars for a crime that ultimately they didn't commit. Remind us how that was, that they were ultimately cleared, and the suffering they say that they went through because of that and really are still going through.
After they were convicted and serving time, completely lucky to them, a serial rapist who had raped women around that same time confessed, and DNA evidence confirmed that he was, as his story said, the only perpetrator of the crime. So in relatively short order, most of the defendants were released, their convictions overturned. So this is something that had that was not the result of additional investigation. If for whatever reason the real doer confessed, DNA evidence confirmed it. Otherwise, those kids would still be in prison today, probably, depending on their sentence.
What has to be proven here? Because defamation can be tricky, right? I mean, is this as clear-cut as it looks?
This is one of those cases where you don't need a whole lot of discovery. You could probably go to trial next month. You get a couple experts maybe, but what is there that you need a lot of discovery for? You've got a transcript, you've got the video, you've seen the entire case in the last minute, and it's that statement. And the question is, first, was that a false statement? And second, did it cause the plaintiffs harm? And when you accuse people of a crime, generally speaking, the harm is presumed. So the real inquiry is, was that a false statement? And was it a false statement that was made deliberately? And he's obviously intentionally making that statement. So it looks like Trump has a problem. I'll just add that the attorneys, I happen to know the attorneys representing the plaintiffs here. This is not a fly-by-night law firm just throwing something against the wall and hoping something will stick. These guys are titans of the personal injury world. So for them to take on this case means they think it has value, and they win. And I'm biased because I've worked with them a little in the past, but I can tell you they're no joke. They win cases.
Are they seeking damages?
Of course, they're going to seek. And we're in a really interesting era because I handle personal injury type cases where In the past, defamation cases were not seen as particularly appetizing cases, but in a Trump era, in an era with a lot of very famous people saying dumb things, we have a strange situation where you might have a plaintiff who has a shattered femur, real medical injuries, and they might only be entitled to about a few $1 million in damages. But defamation cases are getting these $100 million verdicts with hardly a medical record to be seen other than maybe some emotional damage. So defamation cases, the right kind, and this may be the right kind, can be huge, not very expensive to prosecute, and not take that long to resolve. This is in federal court in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, a place where I've been several times. It'll move pretty quickly, and it'll go to trial, but the reality is it will not go to trial. They'll get a trial date pretty soon. This case will, in all likelihood, settle.
All right, Danny Savalos, we know you'll stay on it for us. Thank you so much. Well, some of the biggest celebrities are sounding the alarm about deceptive new technology that could be used to try to influence your vote in the 2024 election. Big stars like Amy Schumer and Michael Douglas have teamed up for a new campaign against election-focused deep fakes. They are warning Americans not to fall for these AI-generated videos that could mislead people about when, where, and how to vote in November. NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian joins us with more on his exclusive reporting on this. Hey, Ken, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Yeah, we live in an age when almost anyone can use AI to generate convincing deepfake videos, and officials are particularly concerned about the potential use of these videos to fool people as the election approaches about where and when they can vote. And so this new public service ad out today is designed to raise awareness. Take a look. It's a nightmare scenario for election security officials, and it's already happened once.
It's important that you save your vote for the November election.
That was an artificial intelligence-generated deepfake of President Biden's voice, sent to 50,000 Democratic voters before New Hampshire's primary in January. The political consultant behind it charged with felonies. Experts fear more of that is coming, and they say the best antidote is public awareness.
This election, bad actors are going to use AI to trick you into not voting.
NBC News got an exclusive early look at a new public service ad out today, featuring a group of celebrities designed to highlight the threat of deepfake attempts at voter suppression.
They'll use fake phone calls,
videos, or messages to try to change when, how, or where you vote.
The bogus warning could appear to be coming from a trusted source.
A fake message saying voting has been extended.
Or your polling location has closed or changed due to an emergency.
Don't fall for it.
The ad features actors and television personalities, including Rosario Dawson, Chris Rock, Laura Dern, Michael Douglas, Amy Schumer, and Jonathan Scott.
So we decided.
Former Homeland Security official Miles Taylor is part of Represent Us, the nonpartisan group that produced the ad, which is airing on YouTube.
What we can do is make people aware that this is the new spam that tries to deceive them and to make sure that they don't fall for that deception.
Joshua Graham Lynn is the group's CEO.
It's almost impossible to tell what's a deepfake and what's not when you're flicking through your phone on a busy night. Just changing a few votes in one district could tip the whole election.
The ad seeking to show viewers just how easy it is to produce convincing fake video.
Voting is your right.
Don't let anyone take it from you.
I love you, Amy. I'm so sorry. I am not even American.
Experts are urging Americans to get information about voting only from official sources. And they say if something seems off, it probably is.
So sorry.
Fascinating when you watch it happen in real time like that, with the change from an actor, somebody who's not one of these famous people. Ken, you mentioned only getting election info from official sources. What are those sources? Who should people turn to? Where should they turn for reliable information?
I wish I had a simple answer to that question, Savannah. In the United States, obviously, elections are state and local affairs, ultimately, even a presidential election. And so there's no one place to turn. But people have to be good consumers of information. Go to their state and local election board, the secretaries of state in each state, the county election officials, and just try to get information from official sources if you're trying to check something that you think may be off that you see online. Savannah.
All right, Ken, thank you very much. Well, jury selection is underway in the trial of Daniel Penny, the former Marine charged in the chokehold death of Jordan Neely on a New York City subway last year. NBC News correspondent Rahima Ellis takes us inside the courtroom.
Jury selection underway in the trial of Daniel Penny, the former Marine charged with fatally choking 30-year-old Jordan Neely in a New York City subway car.
cops.
Cell phone video of the May 2023 incident shows Penny restraining Neely in a chokehold until he lost consciousness. He was later pronounced dead at the hospital. Those images sparking protests across the city, with demonstrators calling for Penny to be held accountable. The 24-year-old was eventually charged with second-degree manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide. He has pleaded not guilty.
Daniel Penny should go to jail. That's the bottom line. The family believes that the person who killed their son, their cousin, their grandson should be behind bars because he did not have the right to do that.
But others have called Penny a hero for stepping in to stop Neely, who they say posed a danger to his fellow passengers. Some witnesses telling police Neely had been behaving erratically at the time. Penny has claimed Neely was threatening to kill someone.
This is political, it's pro-criminal, it's anti-hero.
In a video statement released by his attorneys just before his indictment last year, Penny defended his response.
I knew I had to act, and I acted in a way that would protect the other passengers, protect myself, and protect Mr. Neely.
After court, Penny's lawyers arguing their client did not use lethal force.
Did receive minimal training in martial arts and in chokeholds. The maneuver which he used in this case is taught as a non-lethal maneuver meant to restrain someone.
But an attorney for the Neely family says Jordan, who was known throughout the city as a Michael Jackson impersonator, had struggled with mental health since the murder of his mother, but did not pose a threat.
He had the right to be there. He had the right to be on that train. He had the right to be in pain. He had the right to scream out in frustration and anger, whatever he was screaming out for. We had the freedom of speech here in this country, and Jordan was entitled to that same right without someone saying, "You're screaming, so I'm going to literally choke you to death."
Our thanks to Rahema Ellis for that report. Well, at a pretrial hearing earlier this month, Penny's defense argued videos showing his initial interactions with police should not be shown to the jury as evidence. The judge eventually denied that request. Coming up, it's time for our weekly mental health check-in. After the break, we are going to be joined by our friend, Dr. George James, to discuss the impact of growing up in the spotlight. That is following the tragic death of singer Liam Payne. That's up next. We are back now with our weekly mental health check-in. This week, we're going to dive into the effects of growing up in the spotlight in light of the shocking passing of Liam Payne. Plus, we look at the benefits of a hug after goodbye time at the curb was capped at one airport. We'll explain that in a minute. For a breakdown of that, let's bring in licensed marriage and family therapist Dr. George James. Dr. James, it is always wonderful to have you with us. So let's start with this conversation going on about the effects of fame on young people. This is, of course, following the death of One Direction singer Liam Payne. A lot of people have been arguing there is always a risk to their safety. And I think when you see just sort of what happens to a lot of these people, where from the outside looking in, you think, gosh, they got the fame, they got the money, but clearly it is tough to go through what they go through at the age that they do. Is this about the people around young stars taking more responsibility for their welfare? What is the impact here? Is this real?
Good morning, Savannah. Yes, it is real. And when you think about that, our adolescence and our younger years is about development, about finding your path. And when you find it early and have wild success, it becomes you can feel trapped, you can feel overwhelmed. And sometimes all the things you're trying to navigate, there aren't people there to help you. They're actually pushing you further to be adults or do adult things instead of helping you figure out what you need to do or even have boundaries. And so it's unfortunate that these young folks are so overwhelmed with so many choices and so much success that they do feel trapped, especially the ones that I've worked with, where they feel they can't be their true self. And it is very sad.
It really is just heartbreaking, and we continue to think of Liam Payne and his family and friends and all his fans. Doctor, we've seen Sesame Street's Elmo become kind of a figurehead for mental health. He sent out a tweet checking in, and so many people sort of went to Elmo with how they were feeling about things. We've got a new clip of him. It's him talking to actor Andrew Garfield. This is about the death of Garfield's mother, and this is resonating with a lot of people, this conversation about grief. Let's listen to a little bit of it.
Elmo always feels really sad when he misses somebody.
Oh, yeah, me too. Me too. But you know, that sadness, it's kind of a gift. It's kind of a lovely thing to feel, in a way, because it means you really loved somebody when you miss them.
From a therapist's perspective, how important is it to frame grief in this way?
I actually really love this because it helps us to say that it's okay to feel, which we should feel, and also honor and celebrate those that we care about. It reminds me of my own journey with the grief of losing my parents and the ways that I try to help so many other people. And just to think about that, so many of us are dealing with grief. So this conversation just brings it up and allows people to know it's okay to feel, but also to celebrate and honor those that you love and miss.
Oh, absolutely. Such a touching conversation. Okay, finally, let's talk about this airport one. So this is a new policy. It's in New Zealand. You know, it's when you're coming up to the curb and it says max hug time, 3 minutes for fonder farewells. Please use the car park. Well, according to the airport CEO, this is really in an attempt to prevent traffic jams at the airport drop-off. I'm going to be honest. If you've got 3 minutes to stand there and hug on the curb, you are getting to the airport way earlier than I ever do, because that is kind of a while to stop and hang. Of course, it's super sweet. Sometimes people are maybe saying goodbye for quite a long period of time. But what are some of the benefits of hugging those that you love and saying that goodbye? And do you think that this time restriction spoils any of that?
Yeah, I think this is really great because, you know, I've been in airports where I've seen people like hug and say goodbye like 3-5 times to each other. And I think this is trying to get to that part. There is something that we feel and experience when we do hug. There's a level of oxytocin that's released. There's a level of connection. It helps us in many ways. But there are ways that maybe we could do it before or maybe in that moment. And I think it's also just talking about maybe the anxiety that we feel when we have to separate. But there are many ways that you can stay connected. Maybe even when they're on the flight, you can send them a text and that it's okay to give them the hug, but then to depart and go your way and for them to catch their flight and hopefully be on time. Super sweet to think about. But yes, it also impacts other people when they're the ones honking at you trying to get in there. Dr. George James, thank you very much. Good to see you. Well, coming up, a North Carolina family thought they were safe from storms, but Hurricane Helene is making them rethink everything. Why disasters in places like Asheville are proving there may be no such thing as so-called climate havens. Stay with us. Welcome back. We've got to look now at the impact of climate change here in America. More people are looking to move to what are called climate safe havens, areas that seem unaffected by intensifying storm disasters. But as NBC News Now anchor Hallie Jackson explains, it's becoming more likely that those places do not actually exist.
To get through that.
To Melissa Booth, Asheville may never look the same.
It's gone. I mean, it's completely gone. This is where I enjoyed so many hours of relaxing and enjoying the river.
Her favorite hangouts destroyed by the flooding after Hurricane Helene. And it's along this river where we first met Booth and her husband 3 years ago after they'd moved here from coastal Georgia.
Was climate change the only reason that you decided to move?
I would say it was the biggest reason.
Asheville had earned a reputation as a so-called climate haven, along with places like Duluth and Buffalo. Not immune to climate change impacts, but maybe more resilient, which came up in our conversation with Booth, a climate scientist.
There's also no hurricanes, no big tornadoes, no violent weather patterns.
Today,
the best data showed that it was insulated from intense hurricanes, from severe droughts. After having lived through this flooding, I realized that I was wrong to think that Asheville is a climate haven or that there is a such thing as a climate haven.
More than 90% of counties in the U.S. have had at least one disaster claim filed. And over the next 30 years, some estimates predict 7.5 million Americans could move because of climate risk.
When they think about buying a home, they think about where to live in a way they just didn't 20 years ago.
Experts say it's not about zero risk, just how much and what kind. From wildfires out west to extreme rain and snowfall near the Great Lakes to, yes, inland flooding in places like North Carolina.
We need to have strong plans for when this happens again, because it will. It's going to happen to every community across the U.S.
But Booth has no plans to move again.
In natural systems, resilience is the ability to bounce back. And that's what I want Asheville and all communities around the planet to have, the ability to bounce back. And I want to be part of that solution.
Hallie Jackson, NBC News.
Important reporting there. Well, let's get to some financial headlines this morning. Your face will soon be able to unlock your Instagram and Facebook accounts. The NBC's Silvana Henao joins us with those details and some other financial headlines for us. Hey, Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. So Meta is bringing facial recognition technology back more than 3 years after it shut the system down on Facebook, and that was due to backlash. Now Meta will deploy the tools on Facebook and Instagram to fight celebrity scams and help users who've lost access to their accounts. Meta says people will be able to opt out, and facial data will only be used for comparisons. A federal rule banning fake online reviews is now in effect. The Federal Trade Commission issued the regulation in August banning the purchase or sale of online reviews. Now, it lets the agency seek civil penalties against anyone who knowingly violates the rule. It specifically bans reviews and testimonials attributed to people who don't exist or are generated by AI, as well as those who don't have experience with the business or the product. And Chick-fil-A is launching a new app on November 18th to stream original shows, podcasts, as well as games, recipes, and ebooks aimed at families. Now, it may seem like an unusual move for a fast food chain, but Chick-fil-A has been expanding outside of food with the goal of directing more customers to its restaurants. It sold branded merchandise and created a spin-off brand called Penny Cake, which offers family-friendly games. For the past 5 years, Chick-fil-A has released animated shorts on YouTube during the holiday season, Savannah.
Wow, that one is kind of blowing my mind. Chick-fil-A and shows. I can't wait to see what those are. All right, Silvana, thank you very much. Well, the NBA tips off its new season tonight with a full slate of games featuring the league's biggest names who will make their return to the court. Some of the game's iconic stars are even trying to ride the momentum of an Olympic gold medal to a title. Of course, you remember that. We have national NBA and basketball business reporter from The Athletic, Mike Vorkunov, to give us a preview at this new season. Hey, Mike, always good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Let's start at the top. Last season ended with the Boston Celtics winning their 18th title. Who do you see as favorites to take home the championship this year? I know it's early, but based on how the teams are looking, and do the Celtics have this chance at going back-to-back?
Yeah, start at the top and stay right there. The Celtics are the favorites again this year to repeat. No team has done that in 7 years, so it would be a little bit unprecedented for the recent era that the NBA is in. But the Celtics return all their best players, return all their starters, but they're going to have competition. The Oklahoma City Thunder are the favorites in the West. They're young, they're up and coming. They probably got good a season early last year, surprising some people, but now they're the favorites to get out of the West, and the Celtics Thunder is probably the most popular favorites prediction at this point.
And let's talk about individual players now. Who are you just most looking forward to watching to? But then also, who do you predict could be crowned league MVP?
Well, I think the player everyone is probably most looking forward to seeing this season is Victor Wembanyama. He's with the Spurs. He's entering his second season. He was such a sensation last year as a rookie in San Antonio. He's 7'3". He's got arms as long as the Empire State Building, and he was so great to watch. And to see what he'll do in his second season is going to be fascinating. But the Spurs are not likely, unless Victor Wembanyama is really, really good, to be one of the best teams in the league. And so if you're talking about MVP contenders, there's Anthony Edwards in Minnesota, Jason Tatum in Boston, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in Oklahoma City, obviously Giannis and Nikola Jokic are always up there, and Luka Doncic in Dallas. And so those are some of the players who could come home with the MVP award this year.
All right. Any rookies we should be keeping an eye on to take the league by storm? Who do you think is ready to make that jump and become an impact player in their first season?
Well, it's kind of funny. Last year we had Victor Wembanyama atop the rookie class. This year, the rookie class is not as celebrated, but there are some interesting guys. There's Zachary Risacher, the #1 pick in Atlanta, Reed Shepard in Houston, Alex Sarr from Washington, #2 pick, Donovan Clingan in Portland. I think this might be a beauty is eye of the beholder type of rookie class. So it'll be interesting to see who emerges and who could potentially prove themselves a future star.
Absolutely. And as somebody who's really into a lot of the stories of it, sometimes as a medium sporty type of girl, I'm excited to see LeBron suit up right next to his son. That'll be interesting to see. Mike Vorkunov, thank you so much, and happy watching as we get started the season. Get Get your jack-o'-lanterns ready because we're less than 10 days away from Halloween. But one farm is taking a different approach to the prototypical Instagrammable pumpkin. Why so-called ugly pumpkins are becoming this year's popular purchase. That's next. We will use that as many times as we can between now and October 31st. Let's end the hour with a look at the so-called ugly pumpkins that are becoming a popular purchase at one Minnesota orchard. Ferguson's Minnesota Harvest. They say visitors are increasingly adding warty, pastel, and flat pumpkins to their fall decorations. I've been seeing a lot of these at my Trader Joe's here in New York, so I think it's a common thing. Reporter Caillou Edwards from our affiliate station, KARE 11, has more.
At Ferguson's Minnesota Harvest in Jordan,
got 3 here.
The Ferguson family grew 30,000 pumpkins this season.
I got some really little ones. Oh, they're so precious.
And yet, out of all of them,
look at this. Isn't that something?
Luann Robin goes for the unique.
Yeah, there's a warty one.
So that's actually how it's supposed to be, is with this raised skin.
Co-owner Andy Ferguson.
Yep, they're planted to look like that.
Says up to 40% of the pumpkins are imperfect.
This would be like more of a pastel Cinderella type pumpkin, flatter. Some people call them stackers too.
And while traditional pumpkins remain popular,
I think I like the green one, just a little different contrast than the normal.
Luann isn't alone in her flair.
Isn't that something?
Some call it the ugly pumpkin trend.
I think it's kind of like the Charlie Brown Christmas tree trend. Every year it's getting more and more popular.
Yeah, the texture is cool, the warts are cool.
Pumpkins come in different shapes, textures, and sizes. Perhaps there's a lesson to be learned here.
And we're big with Spookly the Square Pumpkin, which is a popular children's character that promotes anti-bullying themes. And I think there's kind of that theme with the pumpkins itself. If every pumpkin looked exactly the same, that wouldn't really be very exciting.
We went to a grocery store and every pumpkin was the same size. I couldn't believe it. One size fits all, I guess.
Our thanks to affiliate reporter Caillou Edwards for bringing us that report. There's still time to find that perfect pumpkin, pretty or ugly. But just a heads up, that pricing can depend on weight, of course. And happy Halloween. That's going to do it this hour of Morning News Now. But stay with us because the news continues right now. Right now on Morning News Now, the final sprint to the White House with just 2 weeks to go until Election Day. Both Vice President Harris and former President Trump embarking on a full-on battleground blitz this week. We've got the very latest from the campaign trail as those smaller races for control of Congress come into sharp focus. Also this morning, new details surrounding that deadly helicopter crash in Texas Sunday night that killed the 4 people on board, including a child. What we're learning about a critical warning from the FAA put out just days before that. Plus, back in the game, Miami Dolphins powerhouse Tua Tagovailoa determined to return to the field this Sunday after his 3rd diagnosed concussion of his NFL career. But it's got some sounding the alarm over his long-term health and his future in the big leagues. We'll bring you his new take on it all. And later in the hour, inside the new push to keep America's young students safe while on their way to school with a little help from AI. Some of those good uses of AI we like to talk about. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us on this Tuesday. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe's out on assignment. We're going to get started this hour. Where else? On the campaign trail, because Election Day is now exactly 2 weeks away, and both candidates have been courting voters in key battleground states that will likely decide who gets the keys to the White House. Some of those were early voting's underway. NBC News correspondent Garrett Hake has the latest from one of those swing states. He is in North Carolina.
Good morning. Yeah, 2 weeks till Election Day, but that's just when the voting stops. Early voting is already underway all across the country, including here in North Carolina, a state no Democrat has won since 2008, but that Donald Trump is now scrambling to defend.
Donald Trump overnight preaching to the political choir, wrapping up a 3-stop day in North Carolina with a faith-focused event outside Charlotte.
We tell Christians to get out and vote.
Earlier, the former president visiting Asheville, which was hit hard by Hurricane Helene, refusing to back down from his criticisms of FEMA, including false claims that they've not responded to the hurricane.
If they're doing a poor job, we're supposed to not say it.
Trump also using the trip to paint a dark picture of crime in the Tar Heel state, which he carried in both of his previous White House runs, but which polls show now is neck and neck.
We will end the looting, ransacking, raping, and pillaging of North Carolina and, frankly, every other state in the union.
As early voting kicks off in multiple states, breaking records in North Carolina, the former president, who consistently raises questions about election integrity, acknowledged he has not seen evidence of impropriety this year.
I have not seen.
Vice President Harris spent Monday working to add bricks to the Democrats' so-called blue wall, campaigning across Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. The vice president courting Republican-leaning voters in all three states, appearing in suburban counties where GOP primary candidate Nikki Haley performed well against Trump.
I promise to be a president for all Americans.
She was joined by former GOP Congresswoman and fierce Trump critic Liz Cheney, including in Michigan, where Maria Shriver moderated a town hall of pre-screened questions. Cheney with this message to Republicans.
If you're at all concerned, you can vote your conscience and not ever have to say a word to anybody.
Later in Wisconsin, taking this swipe at former President Trump.
If you wouldn't hire somebody to babysit your kids, you shouldn't make that guy the president of the United States.
Cheney, a staunchly anti-abortion conservative, justifying her support for Harris, saying she's been disturbed by what she's seen at state houses across the country in the wake of Roe v. Wade's reversal.
State legislatures put in place laws that are resulting in women not getting the care they need.
Harris explaining her 11th hour strategy of bipartisan outreach in stark terms.
We are talking about whether you will have a president of the United States who takes seriously their duty and their oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States.
And even after spending all day in North Carolina yesterday, Donald Trump is coming back tonight for a rally just added to his schedule. It will take place at this complex, which also includes the early voting site you see behind me, as this campaign, which has been for so long about persuasion, turns to a final 2 weeks all about turnout.
All right, Garrett, thank you so much. Well, let's turn now to the battle for control of Congress. Senate Democrats are fighting to hold on to their slim majority, while all of the House seats are up for grabs in a contest that will determine just how easy or difficult it will be for the next president to govern. Also something important on the ballot. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles is live in Houston with more on the fight for control of both chambers. Hey, Ryan, good to see you. Good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. And you're right. The balance of power in Congress will have a huge impact on whoever is the next president, whether it be Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. And in the Senate, the Democrats currently control a very thin majority. And there are 33 seats up for grabs, but only about 10 that are competitive, including here in Texas, which may be the only opportunity for Democrats to turn a red seat blue. From the mountains of Montana.
What's important right now is the future of this country.
To the shores of the Great Lakes.
Food pricing and stuff is high. Wish it could come down.
From the coasts of California and New York.
I want everybody to vote. I don't care what side you fall on.
To the Lone Star State of Texas. The battle for control of Congress is heating up, and many of the places the presidential candidates are not paying attention to.
This is a very different choice than the presidential level.
In the Senate, Democrats currently hold a razor-thin two-seat majority, but they're facing competitive races in 8 states they currently hold. Among them, red states like West Virginia and Montana, which overwhelmingly support former President Trump, leaving an incumbent like John Tester in danger of losing his bid for a 4th term.
I don't care if you're a rock-ribbed Democrat or a Donald Trump Republican or something in between.
The best shot at a pickup for Democrats is here in Texas, where incumbent Republican Ted Cruz is fighting off a challenge from Congressman Colin Allred. Cruz remains confident.
Because Texas values, we believe in common sense conservative values. Texans want lower taxes. We want less regulation.
Close races are also expected in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada, and Arizona. On the House side, Republicans are clinging to an 8-seat majority. All 435 seats are on the ballot, but only about 40 seats are competitive in states like New York, California, and New Mexico, where candidates like Gabe Vasquez are selling their own message.
Myself, as a proud son of immigrants, I stand here today as a member of Congress and also as a testament to the hard work and sacrifice that my family made.
The results in 2 weeks will go a long way to determining the path of the next president, regardless of who wins. Divided government will make it difficult to get much accomplished. A challenge for both parties as voters prepare to cast their ballots. And the degree of difficulty may be a little bit more difficult for Democrats at the congressional level than it even is at the presidential level, because Democrats essentially need to sweep all of those blue Rust Belt states in order to hold on to that thin majority that they currently enjoy. That's why you see some of these Democratic candidates separating themselves from the Biden White House. For instance, in Pennsylvania, Bob Casey running ads embracing some Trump tax and trade proposals. It's also happening here in Texas, where Colin Allred has said that he won't be a rubber stamp for Kamala Harris, will instead be his own congressional candidate. It comes at a time, Savannah, where very few voters are splitting their ticket and instead voting all Republican or all Democrat. That could end up deciding how Congress ends up being in control when it's all said and done. Savannah?
All right, Ryan Nobles, thank you so much. Well, also this morning, the U.S. is making another push to end the war in Gaza. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is visiting Israel today, looking to jumpstart negotiations while also diffusing the conflict in Lebanon. But hours before his arrival, Hezbollah fired a barrage of rockets into Israel. NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez is in Tel Aviv with the latest. Raf, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. Secretary Blinken is meeting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu right now. This is his 11th trip to the Middle East since the October 7th attacks. He's beginning here in Israel, but then he's moving on to several neighboring Arab countries. And this is likely to be the last major American push for a ceasefire before the presidential election.
This morning, with Israeli forces striking targets across Lebanon and laying siege to parts of northern Gaza, Secretary Blinken arriving back in Israel. Shortly before he touched down, rocket interceptions over Tel Aviv, underscoring the urgency of the trip. While ceasefire negotiations have been stalled for nearly a year, the U.S. hopes the killing of Hamas's hardline leader, Yahya Sinwar, could open a window for new talks. But a senior State Department official acknowledging overnight, with Sinwar dead, it isn't clear who's in charge of Hamas and whether anyone can negotiate on its behalf. For now, Israel is focused on attacking what it says are Hezbollah's sources of income. Last night alleging, without providing evidence, that the Iranian-backed militant group has $500 million stored in a bunker underneath a hospital in South Beirut.
Hezbollah has millions of dollars in gold and cash in Hassan Nasrallah's bunker.
The hospital says it immediately evacuated patients out of fear of an Israeli attack and denied there was a bunker below. Blinken also expected to press Israeli leaders on the spiraling humanitarian crisis in northern Gaza, where Israeli forces have surrounded the Jabalia refugee camp, saying Hamas is regrouping there. But the UN says Israel is blocking food and medicine getting to the besieged area, and that the few remaining hospitals are overwhelmed. Hospital authorities telling our team in Gaza 9 civilians were killed by Israeli shelling as they tried to flee to safety yesterday. Rescue crews say they were able to save this woman, who spent 5 days trapped under the rubble of her home. A flicker of good news amid deepening misery.
Now, we asked the Israeli military about that shelling in northern Gaza. They told us they've set up safe routes for civilians to get out of harm's way. What we're hearing from civilians is that nowhere is safe in northern Gaza at this point. Meanwhile, Secretary Blinken is pushing for a comprehensive ceasefire, so an end to the war in exchange for the release of all of the remaining hostages. But an Israeli official tells NBC News Israel is studying a proposal from Egypt for a small-scale ceasefire, 2-week pause in the fighting in exchange for the release of just 6 hostages. And the logic, according to this official, is to start small but to try to build momentum towards a wider agreement. Savannah.
All right, Raf, thank you very much for your reporting. Stay safe. Now let's get to new information about a deadly helicopter crash in Texas over the weekend. The chopper slammed into a radio tower in Houston, sparking a fire, ultimately killing all 4 people on board. Now we are learning that just days ago, the FAA warned pilots that the lights on the tower were out. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello joins us from Washington, D.C. with the latest details. Tom, good morning.
Hi, Savannah. So NTSB investigators will be back at the scene this morning, combing through roughly 4 acres of land as they continue to gather evidence. But what may prove critical is that warning you just mentioned, called a NOTAM, which all pilots are responsible for knowing about before they ever take off. This morning, we're learning more about the final moments before this fiery helicopter crash in Houston that killed 4 people on board, including a child. New audio of what appears to be the pilot talking with air traffic control, showing no signs of distress.
Just departed Ellington, 1 Kilo Echo.
But just moments later, surveillance video captured the impact.
A helicopter hit a red and white telephone tower.
Aerial video shows the mangled wreckage and a field blackened by debris and fire as investigators using a dog take photos of the scene.
We're just gathering all the evidence we can. It's a pretty complex scene.
On Sunday night, the private helicopter flew straight into a 1,200-foot radio tower, creating a fireball in the sky and igniting the massive grass fire down below.
There was a lot of smoke, and my throat started getting scratchy, and my eyes, and the fumes are real strong.
FlightAware shows the chopper was flying from Ellington General Aviation Airport towards downtown Houston. It was just 600 feet off the ground, traveling at 108 miles per hour at impact.
The FAA rules indicate you need to stay at least 500 feet away from any structure or obstacle when you're flying in airspace. It's the pilot's responsibility to maintain safe separation.
The FAA had put out a NOTAM, or Notice to Air Missions, just days earlier, warning that some of the lights on the tower were not working. But video appears to show at least one light was functioning as the chopper approached.
But that is something that a pilot should do before every flight is checked all the NOTAMs.
In a statement to NBC News, SBA Communications, which owns the tower, said it only acquired the site last month, and as part of the standard process, had ensured a warning was in place in order to exercise caution during the change of ownership. Yeah, local authorities have not yet released the identities of those on board as the NTSB and FAA investigate. By the way, an FAA database shows the helicopter was owned by Porter Equipment, a construction equipment company there. But the NTSB investigator says it was operating as an air tour flight. So we need to get those questions answered. Savannah?
All right, Tom Costello, thank you very much. Now let's get a check on your forecast this Tuesday with meteorologist Michelle Grossman. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Hey there, Savannah, and we are looking at another really warm Tuesday. It's going to be a warm Wednesday also before we return back to more normal temperatures, and that's many of us across the country. We're looking at temperatures 10, 20, 30 degrees above normal. Otherwise, we're looking at a really quiet October day from coast to coast. We do have a few spots where we could see some rain showers, mainly in the upper Midwest, but it's not going to amount to much. The big story today are those record highs. Otherwise, we're looking at lots of sunshine. So above average temperatures once again today. The jet stream so high to the north, kind of closing off any cooler air from Canada coming down, allowing that southerly flow in, that warm air from the south. So take a look at some of these numbers into the 80s, even into the 90s in some spots. We're looking at 88 degrees in Oklahoma City. That's 17 degrees above normal for this time of year. Kansas City into the 80s as well. Lexington, Richmond, New York City, 80 today. That's 17 degrees above average. We'll do it once again on Wednesday with the warmth spreading all the way to the southern plains. 90 in Dallas on Wednesday. That is 14 degrees above normal, near 90 in Little Rock and Jackson. It's going to be a warm day in Montgomery, Alabama as well. 85 degrees, 80 in Roanoke, and 77 in Philadelphia. But we do have cooler weather in the forecast by Thursday and Friday. We're looking at temperatures into the 60s in New York City, the low 60s on Friday. So probably need the jackets once again. 67 on Saturday, and then into the 50s in Portland, Maine, also Buffalo, New York by Saturday, 55 degrees. Cooler to the west as well. We're looking at temperatures in the low 50s in portions of Minnesota as well. So we're warm, and we're also really parched. We have 75 cities that had zero measurable rainfall this month. Where you see all those dots, that's where we had a really dry October, continuing to see that dry October. And why is that? Well, I just showed you the jet stream that's so far to the north that is adding to that warmth. It's also sort of cutting off that storm track. So the storm track is now to the north in Canada, and that's where all the rainfall is going, and it's sort of tacked in place. When we have climate change, things sort of get tacked in place, they get parked, and that's what we're seeing now, and that's why we are so dry. And unfortunately, this is the rainfall forecast over the next 7 days. Not a whole lot. We'll see a couple fronts moving into the Pacific Northwest. We'll see some rain into parts of the upper Midwest, the Midwest, the Great Lakes, but that is about it, not measuring or amounting to a whole lot. And we could break some records. So by the end of the month, which is is just next week. We're looking at New York City, Philadelphia, Atlanta could have a zero measurable rainfall for the month of October, and that would be the first time on record. So we're going to watch that very closely. No surprise here, satellite radar showing us that we are pretty much dry coast to coast. We do have some rain showers throughout the Midwest, also parts of the northern plains, the upper Midwest. Some of them are on the heavier side, and it's all due to this cold front that's moving through, but again, not bringing a whole lot of rain. We're looking at that cold front tracking into the upper Midwest, showers from North Dakota to Wisconsin, and then it's going to move a little further to the east as we get towards Wednesday, but still not carrying a whole lot of rain with it. So as we near Wednesday, it's going to move into the Great Lakes, the interior parts of the Northeast. We'll see some beneficial rain for the very dry areas, but not a whole lot. Otherwise, in the tropics, we're looking at Tropical Storm Oscar, winds at 40 miles per hour. It's moving to the northeast at 12 miles per hour, so it has picked up speed. It's impacting still parts of Cuba, parts of the Bahamas as we go throughout this Tuesday. We do have tropical alerts, tropical storm warnings. That's where you see that orange for portions of the Bahamas, and they will have tropical storm conditions, seeing them this morning before it moves out later on today. Oscar becoming post-tropical in the next 24 hours as it makes its way into Canada and bringing some rain there. That's the story with Oscar. And then as we go throughout the weekend here, we're looking at just a few showers in the Great Lakes. Still really dry. Mild Rockies, record highs throughout the southeast. Lots of sunshine throughout the New England area, the northeast, into the Great Lakes. Lots of sunshine throughout the northern plains and also parts of the northwest. And Savannah, we're still looking at a really nice day as we get towards Saturday. A frosty start in the Great Lakes, but otherwise really lots of sunshine coast to coast from the Great Lakes to the south central states all the way to the southwest. Back to you.
All right, there you go. A pretty quiet forecast. Michelle Grossman, thank you so much. Much more to come on this Tuesday edition of Morning News Now. Later in the hour, Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is expected to return to the field this weekend, but that is sparking concerns over his long-term health after he was benched for another diagnosed concussion. We're going to dig into all of it. First, though, after the break, a power grid collapse in Cuba plunging millions into darkness for days. This morning, the lights are back on, but for some, faith in the nation's infrastructure is fading. We'll take you there next. Welcome back. Cuba's power grid operator says electricity has been restored to most of the capital, Havana, after millions of people were left without power for days. The devastating blackouts were made worse by the impact of Tropical Storm Oscar. NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro has the story.
Outrage in Cuba after millions were left in the dark for days due to a collapse of the island's electrical grid. Some residents taking to the streets saying they were running out of food and water. This 88-year-old woman was left with only candlelight while she cares for her daughter with disabilities, showing our team in Havana that all the food in her fridge has spoiled. But on Monday, Cuba's electrical union announcing that efforts to fix the main power plant were successful, implying power should be restored for most Cubans. NBC freelance reporter Ed Augustin on the ground in the capital city, where citizens are slowly recovering from the outage.
Here in Havana, there are still places that haven't had electricity ever since Friday. No electricity means no running water and shuttered businesses. We came to this battered neighborhood to film and show that. But you know what? 5 minutes ago, there were cries of jubilation. The lights finally came back on.
While the lights may be back on for some in Havana, faith in the country's electrical system is starting to run out following months of hours-long blackouts.
Muy fuerte, muy fuerte. Muy fuerte. Esto está en decadencia. Y cada vez más apagones, más apagones. Imagínese usted. Esto está ya a punto del colapso entero.
Over the weekend, energy officials said power was expected to be restored to everyone by Tuesday. But Hurricane Oscar made landfall in eastern Cuba as a Category 1 storm, bringing with it heavy rain and life-threatening flooding. Oscar later weakened to a tropical storm, but with the threat of more flooding and even mudslides, issues that could continue to plague the island nation don't seem to be going away anytime soon.
Our thanks to Valerie Castro for that report. Cuban energy officials warned that even with power restored, they will continue to have blackouts, blaming fuel shortages now on the U.S. trade embargo and sanctions. Well, Nada, what else is making headlines around the world this morning? Let's start with an update on North Korean troops in Russia. NBC News international correspondent Claudio Lavanga joins us from Rome with the latest. Claudio, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Well, that's right. After reports that at least 1,500 North Korean soldiers are training to fight alongside Russian troops in Ukraine, South Korea summoned the Russian ambassador there to demand their immediate withdrawal. Now, South Korea's vice foreign minister criticized the move and said Seoul will respond with all measures available. But the Russian ambassador said that while he will relay the concern to Moscow, the cooperation between Russia and North Korea is within the framework of international law, he said. In June, Moscow and Pyongyang signed a pact in which they pledged to help each other in the event of aggression against their country. Let's go to Peru now, where former President Alejandro Toledo has been sentenced to 20 years and 6 months in prison for corruption and money laundering. The 78-year-old former president is accused of taking $35 million in bribes from a Brazilian construction company in exchange of a contract to build a road in Peru. He was arrested in California 5 years ago, where he has lived and worked for many years, and extradited to Peru last year. Toledo denies the allegations. And let's end this tour of the world in Australia, where King Charles III was heckled by an indigenous senator who shouted, "You are not my king," during an official visit. The king was addressing lawmakers in Australia's capital, Canberra, during his first visit as monarch, when Linda Thorpe, an independent indigenous senator, shouted, "You are not our sovereign, you committed genocide against our people and demanded to give our land back, give us what you stole from us." Thorpe was escorted out of Parliament House while the king kept his royal composure and didn't appear to respond to the accusation and the criticism, Savannah.
All right, Claudio Lavanga, thank you so much. Well, coming up, holding dangerous drivers accountable with a little help from artificial intelligence. After the break, we'll dig into some new technology that's helping keep America's young students safe on their rides to school. Stay with us. That's next. Welcome back. Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is expected to make his return to the football field this week. The star quarterback has missed 4 games since suffering that third diagnosed concussion of his career last month. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel says medical professionals have deemed it safe for Tagovailoa to play, but not everyone is agreeing with that decision. NBC News correspondent Stephanie Gosk joins us now with more. Hey, Steph, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Well, Tua has been out of action since the second game of the season. He held a press conference yesterday and made 2 things very clear. He is determined to get back to work, and he is frustrated by all the attention his repeated hand injuries have received.
Tua Tagovailoa says he has been symptom-free since the day after his most recent concussion and never considered quitting football.
I appreciate your concern. I really do. I love this game, and I love it to the death of me. That's it.
The Dolphins franchise quarterback missed 4 games after this on-field collision, the third diagnosed concussion of his young NFL career. Many around the league urging him to put his health first.
I'll just tell him to retire. It's not worth it. It's not worth to play the game. I haven't witnessed anything like I've seen that's happened to him 3 times. Scary.
But Tua says he's determined to keep playing.
Do I want to be, known for this? No, I don't, but that's the cards I've been dealt with.
Miami's head coach Mike McDaniel says the team is relying on top medical experts to determine when Tua will be officially cleared to play. The first-round draft pick led the league in passing yards last year, but running has always been a big part of his game, raising the risk of high-impact collisions. While Tagovailoa did not miss a game in 2023, he did suffer multiple concussions in 2022, including this frightening moment versus the Bengals, just 4 days after he'd hit the ground during a previous game, raising questions at the time about whether he came back too soon. This year, some players, including Dolphins running back Devon Achane, have opted to use a protective Guardian cap over their helmets, an option Tagovailoa dismissed.
Will you wear a Guardian cap? Nope. Why? Personal choice.
Tua says football is what he loves, and that includes accepting the risks that come with suiting up on Sunday.
There's just risk in any and everything, and I'm willing to play the odds. That's it.
The Dolphins head coach says he expects Tua to practice Wednesday, but it's not 100% certain he'll be on the field this Sunday against the Cardinals. Medical experts will need to evaluate the quarterback after midweek practices and workouts are done to make sure he's cleared to play. So he's going to practice most likely, but he may not be on the field on Sunday. We'll have to see.
Obviously something a lot of people are watching out for and thinking of him. Steph, thank you very much. Well, this week is National School Bus Safety Week. This morning, we're going to get a look at a new technology that's meant to keep kids safe when they're on their ride to school. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch is in Miami and has more on this new AI technology helping our kids. Jesse, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. If you are driving on the roads anywhere in this country, you should know these rules. You see those yellow lights up there? That means you should slow down. And when the lights turn to red and you get that stop arm extended, you must stop in both directions. But surprisingly, you might not believe how many people are breaking these rules every day, and the consequences can be deadly.
The videos are absolutely shocking. Again and again, children almost getting hit by cars, with drivers illegally passing stopped school buses. This one in South Florida especially scary. Watch this student crossing the street as a driver just keeps going. The student thankfully reacting in time.
Does it surprise you, or is it what you expected? No, I was shocked.
Lieutenant Jorge Luis Montero helps run the Miami-Dade Police Department's traffic team. The department says in the past, his officers would have to witness these kinds of violations in person in order to issue a ticket.
I can't have every officer follow 1,000 school buses to catch every violator.
But now, police have a powerful new set of eyes on the road thanks to Bus Patrol, a company using artificial intelligence in school districts from Pittsburgh to Providence to catch drivers in the act.
Here's how it works. Every time the bus makes a stop, its cameras are rolling. And Bus Patrol's artificial intelligence is watching along. So if a passing driver breaks the rules, they're caught on camera and reported to police.
He could have stopped. Makes the 2, 3, 4, 5.
Officers review video footage confirming violations.
This person will be receiving a citation.
Before teaming up with Bus Patrol, Miami-Dade PD issued fewer than 3 tickets a month for drivers passing school buses. Now, it's more than 40,000. We hopped on a school bus to see for ourselves how fast they can pile up.
Every vehicle has to stop.
This was our first simulated stop.
They're all in violation.
It's happening that quickly.
It's happening that quickly.
Sandra Martinez, a Miami-Dade school bus driver for more than 20 years, says she sees this every day.
So 60 seconds, you're going to stop, you can save a child's life. So, you know, that's Operation Cargo.
Since 2000, more than 50 people have died in crashes involving drivers illegally passing stopped school buses. Almost half of those killed were pedestrians aged 18 or younger. The Miami-Dade program is only several months in, but Bus Patrol says its longer-term statistics are promising.
Over 90% of folks who get one violation in the mail never break the law again.
Wow, that's a pretty strong stat. So, Jesse, how much do these cameras cost? Could we see this rolling out across the country?
Yeah, so what we're seeing right now, Savannah, according to Bus Patrol, is that they have around 30,000 buses, almost 30,000 buses they're working with in hundreds of school districts across 16 states. When you talk about the cost, you can structure the cost plan differently, but here in Miami-Dade, we're told that this program is not costing the schools a penny because the cost of all of this is being covered by those fines that reckless drivers are paying. Back to you.
All right, Jesse Kirsch, thank you so much. Well, school buses aren't the only place AI cameras are being used to keep people safe. In the wake of back-to-back hurricanes, insurance adjusters are facing the enormous task of assessing the devastation. But what if technology could make that job simpler? Here's CNBC senior climate and real estate correspondent Diana Olick with us this morning to explain. Hi, Diana. Good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Yeah, for decades, insurance adjusters have used the same methods to assess property damage after natural disasters. So they visit the individual properties and use small airplanes with high-resolution cameras so they can see damage to roofs, structures, and neighborhoods. Now, the planes speed the process and help prioritize specific claims. But one startup now claims it can do one better.
You're looking at stratospheric AI-enabled robotic cameras flying on weather balloons.
They're called Swifties, the brainchild of Near Space Labs, a Brooklyn, New York startup looking to modernize the way the insurance industry assesses both property risk and damage in an increasingly volatile climate.
With our balloons and our Swifts, insurance companies are able to get access to information right after the catastrophe and assess the damage and pay out claims within days instead of weeks and months.
Near Space Labs uses giant weather balloons to launch its cameras twice as high as airplanes go. The cameras provide high-resolution imagery over thousands of square miles.
Our balloons capture what 800,000 drones would. With one flight. This means that we can be faster, better, and cheaper for our customers.
And it's not just for use after a storm. Insurance and reinsurance companies like Swiss Re are using Near Space to help them understand and price risk. The imagery of specifics like roof characteristics, surrounding vegetation, defensible space, all feed into customer AI data sets. That part is especially attractive to investors.
If you are actually going to be able to use AI to do risk analysis, you need a cheap, abundant source of imagery. And you know, we believe that at least over the next decade, Near Space is probably the cheapest way to do this.
In addition to Third Sphere, Near Space is backed by Crosslink Capital, Wireframe Ventures, IAG Firemark, Toyota Ventures, and Lead Out Capital. Total funding to date, $24 million.
Near Space says it has flown over 1,000 commercial missions, but it's still ramping up its operations. Its CEO says they're focusing on risk analysis with insurers now, but by next year, they'll be able to react to major disasters from hurricanes to floods and, of course, wildfires. Savannah?
So, Diana, how are they going to be able to get all these balloons exactly where they need them in such short periods of time?
Interesting. So they're actually really small. They told us that they can fit them basically into a suitcase and ship them anywhere they want around the country. So they have these operators who have been trained and they're stationed anywhere they need to be. And so eventually they'll have enough of them that they can just ship the suitcase to them, and that operator can launch it from any street or road or wherever they need that help to get.
All right, Diana Olick, thank you very much. Really interesting reporting here. Good to see. Coming up, what is chaos packaging? After the break, the booming trend on social media that has some small businesses getting creative with their brands. All to catch your cash, of course. We'll explain up next. Welcome back. Here's what's making financial headlines this morning. Basketball fans will be seeing a whole lot more Nike on the court. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other money news. Hey, Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Yeah, Nike is extending its exclusive partnership with the NBA and the WNBA to be the provider of on-court uniforms and apparel for another 12 years. Now, Nike's previous deal went into effect in the 2017-2018 season and was reportedly worth $1 billion. Now, the renewal comes at a crucial time for Nike's new CEO, who is trying to return the company to growth after it reported the worst drop in quarterly revenue since 2020. Americans are cutting back on drinking vodka, whiskey, and other spirits as many find higher prices are just too hard to swallow. Volumes falling 3% through July versus the same period last year. Sales had consistently grown by more than 2% in the 2 decades until 2019, then shot up 5% during the first 2 years of the pandemic before leveling off. Now, analysts say this could be a market correction as the boost of stimulus checks and extra disposable income has run out. And the Yankees-Dodgers World Series is a hot matchup. Now, tickets for Game 1 in Los Angeles topping $1,300 on the resale market. StubHub says sales are outpacing last year's series and are 4 times higher than in 2022. Sales for Games 3 through 5 at Yankee Stadium are 40% higher than those at Dodger Stadium, Savannah.
All right, Silvana, thank you so much.
You got it.
Well, a new trend is making the rounds on social media. It is called chaos packaging. NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans shows us how small businesses are using it to catch your eye and tap into your wallet.
Hey there, wine in a can, coffee in a toothpaste tube, even perfume in a cleaning product container. It's called chaos packaging. It refers to a product in packaging that's usually associated with something else entirely, and the concept is really taking off. From sunscreen in a whipped cream container to potato chips in a paint can.
Graza olive oil, a little drizzle, not too much, nothing crazy.
What about olive oil in a squeeze bottle? Startup Graza's founder says those creative containers, along with their delicious product, are keeping consumers pressed for more.
Has the packaging been instrumental in sort of the growth of the company?
Yes, absolutely. We would be naive in saying that it hasn't. Our packaging is a vehicle to sell what we so care about.
Those designs, like Graza's refill oil cans, is described as chaos packaging. The trend, highlighted in the Wall Street Journal, shows how some brands are opting to wrap their products in non-traditional packaging.
I kind of explain it as the product's sort of in the wrong thing.
And it's not necessarily new. Remember those pantyhose in an egg from the 1970s? But here in 2024, that chaos packaging may look like Vacation's line of sunscreen. They tell us it's not just novelty for novelty's sake, but to make sunscreen fun. Or a can of Liquid Death. That's no alcoholic beverage, but actually a line of water. And even iced tea, popular at concerts and sporting events. Liquid Death tells us, while some might view chaos packaging as risky, being boring is actually the biggest risk a new brand can take. If you're boring, you'll go unnoticed.
Creating that Gen Z twist with chocolate.
Getting noticed by a wider audience both on and offline helped fuel the rebrand of Zach's Sweet Shop.
This is such a nice detail.
Making the packaging just as bold and colorful as the treats.
So you get a fun, colorful box, colorful chocolates. You get little games on the packaging.
Big creativity with a little side of chaos in advertising that experts say could hit a sweet spot in sales.
If you have an interesting packaging that people are willing to take a photo of and post and do your own advertising for you, that is just gold for marketers.
A twist here, with inflation making more shoppers mindful of their spending, experts say some consumers are looking for creative and cool packaging for products, which also double as something cool to share on social media platforms. Back to you.
All right, Christine, thank you so much. Well, this morning, new research is offering a closer look at the U.S. job market. The 2025 salary guide by consulting firm Robert Half says there aren't enough qualified candidates to fill the number of open roles that companies have. In fact, more than 80% of hiring managers say it's hard to find workers with all the required skills that they're looking for. The experts at Robert Half say companies need to offer higher starting salaries, hybrid work, and flexible schedules to be more successful in landing those skilled employees they're looking for. Dawn Fay joins us now with more on this. She's the operational president of Professional Talent Solutions at Robert Half for Central U.S. and the New York tri-state area. Dawn, good morning. So your firm's research shows that candidates want flexible working arrangements, but 66% of hiring managers say they would offer higher starting salaries for new hires to work in office. This has obviously been such a conversation since the pandemic, and as companies try to figure out, are we as successful with employees at home, and employees try to figure out, how can I get used to going back into the office? Why are companies trying to push in office work?
You're right. It has been certainly a struggle on both ends right now. But what employers have found is when people are together in the office more than they're not, collaboration is better, relationships get built, trust gets built. Just the speed of which people get projects and work done is just significantly higher when they're together. And it's really, really critical for newer hires for that training and onboarding. So that's why they're willing to pay that premium to get people in the office.
This report, it also shows that more than 48% of managers say that meeting a candidate's salary expectations is their greatest hiring challenge. That doesn't really surprise me, but what other challenges do companies say they face during recruitment?
You're right. There's certainly been a bit of a disconnect people have felt with salaries. With companies have been paying more, but with inflation, employees don't feel it as much. But there's certainly been other hiring challenges that are out there. You want to make sure that you're meeting people where they are, and they want that hybrid flexibility, not only of when they're working in the office, but certainly maybe just the time frames that they're coming in and working as well. But it's really important for a cultural fit in addition to finding those skills that you want. So there's challenges challenges out there to make the right hire.
With that stat I just mentioned, 48% of managers saying that meeting those expectations when it comes to salary is one of their toughest challenges. What advice do you have to candidates during their salary negotiation process to get what they want, what they think they deserve, what's a living wage for them, but to not discount themselves from the process by not being able to have that expectation met?
Yeah, it's really important to do your homework. The salary guide that we publish every year is really, really a great tool. It gives you an understanding of what your skills are worth in today's marketplace, what those variances are like for the cities or states that you're working in, which is important. But I always tell individuals, too, not only do you want to know what you're worth and do your homework, you want to practice those conversations. Find your mentors and trusted advisors and really practice those conversations to negotiate what you're looking for from a salary. And remember, too, it's not just about the base salary. There's other parts of components of compensation, whether it be a bonus, benefits, other perks that can be in there, too, that you can negotiate while you're really looking for that right job.
More than half of hiring managers, they also say that artificial intelligence is changing the types of skills and workers that they need. That, I suppose, isn't surprising given how much we're talking about AI. But is there anything candidates can do to get ahead or to make themselves not be able to be replaced by an AI technology?
Yeah, it's certainly top of every conversation these days. And once again, we tell people, you want to do your homework. You want to understand what are the AI skills that are in the market that are relevant to the industry that you're working in. There are so many things that you can do now to find out what's available there, to upskill yourself, to find those certifications and really be proactive so that you've got your skills as sharp as they can be. It's also important when you're working for an organization to see what can they do to help you learn new skills. Would they be willing to pay for new programs and training for you as well, too? So it's really important to just stay on the forefront of this.
All right, Dawn Fay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really interesting stuff, helpful for anybody looking for a job. Coming up, rookie on the rise. After the break, the unlikely story of one of the NFL's brightest new stars going from washing trucks to playing under those Sunday night lights. That's up next. We're back with a good one. This is the story of a rescue pup who's about to hit the road. While on tour in Minnesota, pop star Pink shared the news that she's fostering a dog, a sweet puppy named Graham Cracker. He's really cute. Sammy Selena from our Minneapolis affiliate has the details.
A big day for the Dale family.
I want to name this one Almond.
Not only are they fostering kittens from the bond between
looking at cats to see if we can adopt them.
Cammy and her mom, Cleo.
I think she's a great symbol for being who you are
Seeing a role model of Cammy's.
We're going to the Pink concert.
But she's more like Pink than she thought.
We rescued a puppy from this awesome organization called The Bond Between.
Because Pink herself is fostering one of the rescue's dogs while she tours.
His name is Graham Cracker. He's currently peeing all over my dressing room.
Graham was backstage at the X last night, meeting Pink a couple hours after we talked to their manager.
Maggie Schmitz with The Bond Between was so excited to get that call.
And we were like, let's do it.
Graham was found in the backwoods of Arkansas, along with his siblings, by a little girl named Autumn.
She was actually taking her dinner scraps and feeding them to the mama in the backyard.
Graham's siblings are doing great. Most of them are adopted.
So, if you guys ever could foster doggies, it's a really lovely thing to do.
But as Cammy continues to idolize Pink,
she just bees herself.
Yeah, she is just herself, isn't she?
She's already following in her footsteps.
Our thanks to Sammy Selena for bringing us that report. And you can turn in applications to adopt Graham yourself to The Bond Between. But that's, of course, as long as Pink does not decide to keep Graham Cracker. So cute. Well, let's end this hour with the inspiring story of a rookie player for the New York Jets, Quantez Stiggers. He's one of just a handful of players in NFL history who have made it to the big leagues without playing a single down of college football. NBC's Peter Alexander looks at this budding star's journey from washing trucks to lining up next to some of the best in the game.
New York Jets cornerback Quantez Stiggers' extraordinary journey to the NFL plays like a movie, overcoming many obstacles before making it.
Your course was very unusual, unlike almost any other. There's maybe a handful of NFL players who got drafted without ever playing college football.
I mean, I'm really just thankful
Quantez says he has a lot to be thankful for, including his wife Cheyenne and their 2-year-old son Legend, with another on the way.
I think my wife was like, "You need to chase your dream."
For the 22-year-old, the NFL was always a long shot, and that dream was nearly derailed 4 years ago after a car accident left his dad in a coma.
My whole body shut down. It was just a moment that I really can't explain because I was so numb.
Later that year, his beloved father died, and COVID canceled his football season at Lane College in Tennessee. He never even stepped foot on the field.
Mentally, I was drained. I didn't come out of the house for 6 to 7 months.
Just deep depression.
Deep depression.
With his father gone, Quantez quit school to help support his 13 siblings, juggling jobs before he began washing trucks.
What did a day look like at the Blue Beacon car wash?
You soap up trucks. You got to wash them with the pressure washer. How y'all doing, bro?
Quantez is still in touch with the guys at Blue Beacon, Cleve and Trey.
We miss you out here, man.
We're super proud of you, man. Without you guys, I wouldn't be here.
If you guys have some ticket requests, I feel like this is a pretty good time to do it.
His first break when his mom signed him up for a semi-pro league.
She was the one who believed.
She did. She believed when nobody else believed.
That dream took him on a detour up north. When the Toronto Argonauts from the Canadian Football League reached out on Instagram, Quantez thought it was a hoax.
I'm like, oh, no, it got to be a fake page. So first thing I did, call my mama. Mama, the Toronto Argonauts just said they're going to sign me. She was like, who? I was like, the Toronto Argonauts. She was like, where they? I was like, in Canada.
Worked out pretty well in Canada for you. Outstanding Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
You were back.
Like I never left.
But Quantez's NFL dream wasn't done. Without an invite to the NFL Combine, his agent set up a private workout for scouts to check him out.
Didn't get a lot of breaks. He really had to push through.
29 NFL teams showed up, and the Jets liked what they saw.
It's a flowing piece of clay, easily moldable. He automatically falls in line.
Then this spring,
The New York Jets select Quantez.
The moment.
The room was loud, but in my mind, the room was just like this. It's like somebody just prank called me.
You're going to be an amazing part of this defense, this organization, and I'm fired up.
My mom crying, but we made it.
You're rolling into the locker room alongside future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers, among others. You've got to, at moments, just be saying, how did I get here?
The Jets believing in me. I came a long way, and especially like the room I'm in with Sauce, DJ, Brandon Echols. It's like the room embraced me.
As a person, him as a player, you know, he's been perfect. You know, kind of like me when I first came in. Looking forward to going on this journey with him.
This is where the first interception took place, huh? Your first practice interception where?
Yeah, right over here.
Quantez says he still feels his father's presence.
What would your dad think about what he's watching you do right now?
Miss him every day. He would tell me to take care of my brothers. He's still watching over us.
When people talk about Quantez Stiggers, what do you hope they say?
He's a guy that made something out of nothing. He's a guy that didn't give up.
Peter Alexander, NBC News.
Just an absolutely incredible story. How inspiring. Thank you to Peter for that. Well, that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now on a Tuesday morning. The news continues right now, though.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.